While we celebrated across America yesterday, Tim Anderson and Deanna Navarro gave a spirited crowd their own fireworks display. With coats on, and there's a drive to center field. Looks up, it's gone. Navarro a drive left field. Gardner back at the wall, and it's gone. The long ball, timely hitting, defense, and a shutdown performance by the bullpen added up to a White Sox victory to start an important 6-game homestand. A win tonight in Game 2 against the Yankees would give the Sox 5 straight series wins for the first time since August of 2013. Summer's here at U.S. Cellular Field. July the 5th, game number 2 of this series between the White Sox and the New York Yankees. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. The Sox have won 4 straight series and playing some of their best baseball of the season.
Everything is starting to come together. Couldn't come at a better time because everybody is looking at the races, whether it's wild card or division. And as you can see in the last 14, our Sox are 10-4. Their batting average is .285, which is impressive. More impressive, over 5 runs a game average with 23 home runs. The ERA's been good at .378, and the bullpen ERA might have been just a little bit better. They're getting good work out of their pensmen, and overall the ball club looks really strong.
Well, during spring training we heard so much about the new infielders for this team, and they are really showing themselves the last few weeks.
Yesterday, Todd Frazier came alive, and he told me in Houston he was ready to go, and he showed it yesterday with 3 hits and a couple of doubles. So if he's feeling good and he's hitting a lot of doubles and home runs, which the home runs have come easy, the doubles, another story. But he's driving in some runs, and he's had a pretty decent first half. Brett Lawrie is putting it all together, and lately he's been red hot. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark. 7-game hit streak, hitting .379, 4 extra base hits, 4 driven in. And he's running the bases exceptionally well. So it's been heads up on the base paths for all of the Sox. And Lawrie and Frazier led the way yesterday. Brett Laurie's been leading it for quite some time. And overall, having Melky back in the lineup is a great thing for the Sox. If they can keep this going, heading into the All-Star break, it's going to be very exciting.
What do we have on the mound tonight, Mr. Former Pitcher?
We've got a couple of very good ones out there, and for them, Masahiro Tanaka, and for us, Carlos Rodon. Last 6 starts for Carlos. He's thrown it okay, but he has nothing to show for it. Opponent's batting average a little higher than he would like, but 37 strikeouts, 11 walks is good. Tanaka on the other side of the equation, his last 7 starts on the road, as you can see, 3-1, ERA almost nothing, 132. And the rest of it is very good. This is a guy with a good splitter, although it's not quite as good as it was the last couple of years. And he's added a slow curveball occasionally. He's got a cutter to go with it. Let's hope the Sox can jump on him early tonight.
Series victory on the line for the home team. Tonight is White Sox social media night. Use the hashtag SoxSocial to see your tweets or Instagram photos on air during the game. We're looking forward to saying hello to you. It's Game 2, Sox and Yankees, coming up next.
tell me this town ain't got no heart.
White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Welcome back to U.S. Cellular Field. It is Grateful Dead Nights and Sox Social Night, all wrapped into one for Game 2 of a 3-game series. Thanks for joining us, and remember to use the hashtag SoxSocial if you want us to see your tweets or photos tonight. We will be reading your tweets and your Instagram posts all night long here at the Bullyard. Steve will do it all by his lonesome. Yankees starting lineup goes like this for Joe Girardi in his 9th season. Brett Gardner at the top. Beltran, Alex Rodriguez, Mark Teixeira both got the day off yesterday. But Starlin Castro was a star for the Yankees in that opener.
And let's take a look at the Cricket Wireless defensive setup. Another in the lineup behind Carlos Rodon. It's Cabrera, Shuck, and Eaton in the outfield with Frazier, Anderson, Laurie, and Abreu in the infield. Alex Avila getting the nod behind the plate. We will get to Carlos Rodon as we move along in this one. So it appears we're ready to play baseball. Take it away, Jason.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Glad to be here again.
Once again, on that day-to-day contract, you're working out well.
We made it to Game 2 of the series. It's Gardner, then Beltran, and A-Rod in this first inning. For a Yankees team that's hitting .247 as a group, that's 21st in Major League Baseball coming in. 40 up, 42 down, 7 games back in the AL East. First pitch from Carlos is a strike called by plate umpire Marvin Hudson this evening.
It's a great sign that he threw the first pitch for a strike, because he does that just over half the time, and that's not good enough. Time now for Alexis Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher, and it is Carlos Rodon. Got a great arm. Still learning. 2-6 ERA, 4.24. But 88 strikeouts and 87 innings shows you that his stuff is major league, top of the rotation quality.
Tapper third base side and just foul. Frazier plays some successful geometry, and it stays 0-2.
Take a look at the umpires for the game this evening, and a gorgeous night it is. Marvin Hudson behind the plate. Vic Carapaz is at first, DJ Rayburn at second, and the crew chief Bill Welke is at third. So the outfield shading Gardner around toward left center field. Jacoby Ellsbury with the night off. And this Yankee team have been banged up from the beginning.
They've had Teixeira injured. They've had Alex Rodriguez injured. They have some bullpen issues, at least in the 6th and 7th innings. Well, 5th and 6th innings, really. The 7, 8, 9 guys have been outstanding so far this year for the Yankees.
Joe Girardi was very disappointed when Greg Bird went down early in the season and took a big bat out of that lineup.
They were down to essentially their 4th string first baseman. They had Ike Davis, who they signed to play first.
Tried him, and last year in 46 games, Greg Bird hit 11 home runs and drove in 31.
Second base, Brett Lawrie awaits. And there's out number 1. Hey, Sox fans, take a look at these lucky fans enjoying the game from the Xfinity couch right behind home plate. Xfinity gives you the best seat in the house. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV and will force you to smile and wave for a very, very long time.
Looks a lot like the lemonade that you had before the game that woman's enjoying in those wonderful seats.
Well, during the game as well. Line drive to left. Melky has to play it on a couple of hops. And Carlos Beltran has a 1-out single.
There's another guy that's been nicked up. He's had a hamstring problem. And through all of that, he's putting together just a great year. This one a fastball. Down on the inner third, but certainly hittable. Beltran was knocking at the door of 300. Takes it into left field.
The Boo Birds are out for Alex Rodriguez as he stands in. Did not play yesterday dealing with a right hamstring injury this year and has become something of a platoon player for Joe Girardi.
He's had so many problems against right-hand pitchers that Girardi had really no other choice. And as A-Rod moves through the aging process, his numbers reflect that. Hitting in the low 220s with just the 8 home runs.
Up to .695 for his career, testing the alleyway, left center field. This is down for Alex Rodriguez. Beltran gets the stop sign at third. Second and third for the Yankees in the first inning.
Without all of the leg problems that Carlos Beltran has had, he would have scored easily on that, as Alex Rodriguez goes out of the strike zone, reaches down, takes it into the gap in left center field. Melky gets to it, and Beltran, not wanting to retweak that hamstring that made him a DH yesterday, but back in the outfield today, just eased into third base.
Well, any more injuries for the Yankees to this lineup, they're in danger in the AL East of falling out of possible relevancy. You join us for Sox Social Night tonight. Mark Teixeira takes ball number 1. Rough season for Teixeira as well, who's had right knee issues in 2016.
Well, they've been injecting lots of things in there to keep him healthy and back on the field. This is his final year of his contract. He's going to be a free agent. He has told everyone who cares to listen that he wants to play beyond this year. In fact, he tells people he wants to play 4 more years. I don't believe his body will allow him to do that, but he's a better right-handed than left-handed hitter this year, although all of his power has come from the left side.
Yeah, 225 from the right-hand side, 173 from the left-hand side. Not glowing numbers.
Not Teixeira-like, certainly.
Line drive, Laurie knocks it down, keeps it on the infield, throws home, and gets his man. How about that from Brett Laurie?
Well, the fact that he was able to look at the field and realize that he still had a shot at Beltran because he just doesn't run well. I think Carlos felt that as soon as this ball trickled away, there was no way that Laurie was going to even think about coming home. This is really a heads-up play. Beltran has to stay there because he doesn't know if Laurie's going to catch it. But he makes a good solid throw, and they cut down Beltran at the plate. Alex Avila doing the honors on the other end of this one, and credit Brett Laurie with good vision right there before he got the baseball. He looked at third base, he checked where Beltran was, and then gunned him down.
Heady play from Brett Laurie, and suddenly the Yankees rally is not nearly as thunderous as it was a moment ago.
Got to retire a guy that was red hot yesterday.
Starlin Castro, who had 4 hits for the second time this year in the game yesterday. Strike called at the edge of the zone from Carlos to Starlin Castro, who's 0 for 2 against Rodon all time.
One of the things they really haven't tried in this series for Castro, who came in swinging at just about everything. Most unlike him, he had 54 strikeouts in 80 games, and he will expand that zone looking for runs batted in, and that's the situation he finds himself in here.
Rodriguez at second, Teixeira at first, and Alex Rodriguez with the hit in this inning now has 3,111, breaking a tie for 20th all time with Dave Winfield. Two balls and a strike on Castro. Chase Headley is next. He did homer in yesterday's game.
Better hitter from the left side, much more power from the left side. Carlos will be facing him from the right side. if Castro chooses not to swing at this. The last one he couldn't even think about swinging at because Avila had to run and chase it to make sure it didn't get by him. Good play by Alex.
Inside ball 4, bases loaded for the Yankees here in the first inning for Headley.
Don Cooper coming out to have a word with his young left-hander.
Well, there's not a lot of easy picking here for Carlos in this lineup in one way, in that there's only the rare left-hander with Gardner at the top of the card. There's not much in the way of left-handed hitters, and lefties this year have hit 308. Righties this year, I should say, are hitting just over 300 against Carlos. Lefties just over 200 at 208.
Last year, in a couple of starts, the Yankees were very hard on Carlos.
So bases loaded, 2 down. Chase Headley, the batter, 32-year-old third baseman.
Playing him fairly straight away in the infield. Drops a slider over for the first pitch. There you look at the numbers. Again, 5 of those 6 home runs have come from the left side.
2 of them have come against the Sox. 0-2 for Rodon against Headley.
It wasn't long ago when Chase Headley hit 31 home runs, drove in 115 for San Diego in 2012. Before he was traded to the Yankees. And Jervis Solarte and Rafael DePaula going over to San Diego.
Rodriguez, Teixeira, and Castro are on. That is just inside, 1-2 for Headley.
Who were the bases loaded? Pretty good. That was the wipeout Rodon slider, and normally you find hitters swinging at that. This time Headley laid off very close, but it was just out of the zone.
Ball and 2 strikes. He got him swinging, strike 3. The Yankees leave him loaded in the first, and the Sox will take Eamon Tanaka after this. Runs this year. They're trying to build on that with this starting lineup. Tim Anderson, 12 multi-hit games out of 23. Change to the lineup today from yesterday. J.B. Shuck against the right-hander goes in the 9 spot in center field. Coates is out.
A pretty good wireless defensive setup, and now Joe Girardi is going to line him up behind Tanaka. Gardner, Hicks, and Beltran in the outfield with Headley, Castro, Ref Snyder, and Teixeira in the infield. Austin Romine behind the plate. And our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Masahiro Tanaka, 5-2, ERA 3.35.
He throws a first pitch breaking ball to Tim Anderson for ball number 1. A lot of stuff in that repertoire for Tanaka, including the splitter you talked about before.
You know what he's trying to do, because guys have just torched his high fastball this year. He's been working on the two-seam fastball. Opponent's hitting .433 on high fastballs this season. That's last in the league.
Lower in the zone that time, 2-1 for Anderson.
When you see those numbers, you get the feeling that his high fastball isn't high enough or hard enough to fool anybody, and so he's trying to make an adjustment.
Breaking stuff, 2-2.
He does have a slider, and the splitter, which was so good in 2014 and most of last year, not quite as good this year.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. There it was. 1 away. Time now for picks to click, and you'll notice something different today. You, the fan, are involved. We're wiping out the scoreboard. Steve no longer is the leader, although he'll take Melky Cabrera, ride the horse that got you there. Our crew goes with Brett Laurie, Avi Garcia for me, and you, fans, you can vote for your pick to click before each game. You've chosen Tim Anderson today. How you do it is you visit WhiteSox.com/pick to click and decide who you think will be the next White Sox position player of the game. Thanks for playing tonight. We hope you win.
Do I get a first half trophy?
No.
0? Wipe it away, gone as if it never happened?
Well, look, the trophy store was closed on my way into the ballpark today. So when it opens,
yes,
I'll go and I'll take care of that for you. Okay?
Thank you. Very nice.
Yeah. Odd hours, though, for the trophy store. Adam Eaton takes inside, ball to strike. We have a big trophy to give out later tonight with our Sox Math First Half Championship. It's a 6-part Sox Math question today, and multi-time winners are invited. Everybody's invited to play. Multi-time winners, the only ones that could win our first half trophy.
Prize is illuminating.
Eaton, a line drive to right. Pull side single for Adam, and he's 3 out of 6 in the series.
Does a nice job of staying with this one. Gets it off the end of the bat, and he's aboard. Teixeira, who was an excellent first baseman before his legs started to betray him, still fairly sure-handed, although not near the guy he was range-wise. He's only made 3 errors this year, and this is a good combination to run against.
Austin Romine, the catcher. Tanaka, the pitcher. Strike 1.
Not as much with Romine, but Tanaka is not real quick to home plate. And we'll see how often he uses that slide step. He didn't use it on the first pitch.
Eaton holds. Abreu, a ground ball foul. Sox trying to score in the first inning for the first time since the last game in Boston on June the 23rd. Robin Ventura, who's trying to get his team to 4 games over 500.
And it didn't work out very well for the Yankees in yesterday's game. They did jump on top 2-0, only to get swamped in the final going. But normally when you break on top, especially at home, you can come away with a victory more times than not.
And the dirt on the splitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Important, so important to get ahead of this Yankees team because of the fearsome 7, 8, 9 inning bullpen guys.
Well, yesterday, in a situation where they had the day off anyway, and we're talking about Miller and Chapman, they wouldn't have been in that game anyway. But if you don't have the lead late, these guys are just outstanding at the tail end of that pen.
They're calling them no runs DMC. Dylan Betances.
Well, I was to say, you can
Andrew
understand
Miller, Aroldis Chapman.
Well, Betances is a closer in waiting, and Chapman will be a free agent. Miller has, I think, 3 years left on his contract, so he's under control for a long time. And the situation here is you got a pitcher whose main pitch is the splitter. He'll use that a lot in wipeout situations, which sets up good base running possibilities. Is Adam Eaton, 9 of 12.
Team leader in steals. Off he goes. Abreu, a fly ball center field. Hicks is back and breaks to it for round number 2. So here's Melky Cabrera, the former Yankee, who was out for 5 games with the wrist injury. Back in the lineup to the tune of a 2 for 5 in yesterday's series opener.
Tanaka last year gave up the long ball quite a bit. So this year, in working on the two-seamer, getting a little movement, running the ball away from the left-handers especially, he's really cut into that. Just 9 in 105 innings.
Melky gets under it. Castro snatches out number 3. Sox strand Eaton after 1. No score.
Tuned for the Miller Lite Summer Kickback moment of the game.
Summer kickback sounds real nice.
And in some places a tradition.
How about there? Tweets and photos are coming in for Sox Social Night. Ray Johnson at Chi-Town History is watching the Sox at a favorite watering hole with lots of glasses of water. And Joe Gagliardi flew in from Philly for Grateful Dead night. Go White Sox, says Joe and family. You can tweet in your pictures on Instagram. You can do that as well. Or you can just look at your phone while Carlos is pitching for the first time in the 2nd inning. And he feeds in a strike to Rob Refsnyder. Are you using the hashtag SoxSocial for your audio tweets?
I'm using more hashtags than I ever knew existed tonight.
Through the left side, a base hit for Refsnyder, his 3rd hit of the series. And he's on for Hicks. Celebrate the holidays in the middle of summer with Christmas in July on Friday, July 22nd. Purchase a specially priced game ticket and receive a voucher for a White Sox Santa hat. Also, stay for the post-game fireworks set to Christmas music. To purchase this ticket package, visit whitesox.com/Xmas. There's Santa.
Masquerading is a former member of the Grateful Dead. And Aaron Hicks, who's had some problems right-handed, Let's see if Joe Girardi is thinking about him laying one down. He's only at 159 as a right-hander. And the answer would be no to that.
Unless he was just really thinking about it, but decided to not execute on it. 2 for 23 in April for Aaron Hicks. So he's actually running himself up to 203 from a rough first month. Two balls, no strikes. He was ahead in the count a couple of times yesterday as well against James Shields and turned him into fly balls to right.
From the left side, he was trying to pull just about everything, and you see the disparity in the two sides, although he does have a homer right-handed. Gunned into 5 double plays, and not surprisingly, 4 of them have been from the right side, where he's only had 69 at-bats.
He lofts this ball. Center field, J.B. Shuck. For out number 1. One out, one on for Romine. Catcher today, Brian McCann, gets the day off with the left-hander on the hill.
Romine with some baseball in his family. His father Kevin played for the Red Sox from 85 to 91. His older brother Andrew, we've seen him play for the Detroit Tigers.
And Dad Kevin didn't hit a whole lot of home runs in his career, but his last one actually came in this ballpark on May 5th, 1991. His last homer as a major league player. And Andrew and Austin Romine's dad Kevin came off of Alex Fernandez as a member of the Red Sox at the White Sox.
Alex was some pitcher.
Oh, he and Blackjack and Wilson Alvarez together.
Plus, if you got Alex in the cool weather, he was close to unbeatable. He was in a string of 4 straight #1 draft picks when Al Goldis was the scouting director. And it's probably the best 4 consecutive #1 draft picks in history.
They ended up being the core of those 90s White Sox.
So Jack McDowell, Alex Fernandez, Big Frank Thomas, and Robin Ventura.
Yep.
Back to back to back to back. You just, with talent spread out like it is, and a lot of teams, no inside tracks anymore, you just probably are never going to see that again.
Well, people talk so much about the Dodgers and their Rookie of the Year run, and the Sox kind of get buried there because the hardware wasn't as obvious in terms of Rookies of the Year with the Piazzas and the Nomos. But boy, you talk about the central focus of a team and the core for so long. We should make something from Frank's cookbook in the booth, don't you think, at some point this year?
Well, because it's his guide to grilling, I think if you did fire up the grill up here, we would have a few problems.
You're thinking safety hazard.
Just a bit. You are flammable after all.
2-1. Fly ball right field. Adam Eaton. For out number 2. Flammable is one of those words. Flammable and inflammable both mean the same thing. Do you know that?
No. It's like read and read.
There's a book. Let's get Big Frank's book here real fast. Do I have enough cord for that? I think I do.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, Lord knows.
Let's take a look, shall we? Ooh, lemon basil pork chops. Looks pretty good, huh? What do you think?
I like that.
Yeah. Let's do some grilling
Good idea.
in the booth.
Oh yeah. We'll
Kids
bring
love
up Bobby Bertucci for that.
2 out for Brett Gardner. Ref Snyder is still at first, no score. And up the middle, bounding through to center field. Gardner is 1 for 2. 5 base runners for the Yankees so far, but nothing to show for it in the run column.
Brett Gardner takes it right back up the middle, hits the mound. Fortunately, Carlos is able to get away from it. Anytime it's hit to the arm side, and that's where this one was hit, pretty tough to bring the glove back over and make the play. especially with left-hand pitchers falling off to the third base side. You're just not in a great position to make a play to the throwing arm side.
What can you do as a pitcher to rectify that?
Well, a lot of guys now, especially the hard throwers, usually get carried off the mound. In this situation, the left-hander always gets carried off the mound to the third base side, the right-hander to the first base side. But if you're throwing really hard, it's tough to square off that follow-through. There's been a few pitchers able to do it, but those weren't the flamethrowers.
Over second into right field. Eaton tracks it down. Refsnyder around third, and the Yankees have the first lead tonight on the RBI from Carlos Beltran.
That's 54 driven in, and you can understand why, regardless of where he hits in his batting order, the Yankees are just happy to have him. He was the third place hitter in yesterday's game, hitting second with Rodriguez and Teixeira back in the lineup tonight. So 2 hits in the first and 3 here in the second.
He came in hitting .419 in his last 14 games, and he's 2 for 2 tonight. The 39-year-old Carlos Beltran. First and third, 2 out. And inside to Alex Rodriguez, who doubled to left up the gap in the first. Inside 2-0 on Rodriguez. How do you pitch this Yankee lineup? Where do you pick your spots? I mean, there are big names all over the card.
I think it's assuming that these guys start to hit the baseball like they can, and they haven't done it yet. Right now, they're not that difficult to pitch to.
Anderson has it bang off his glove, recovers, and not in time. 2-0 Yankees.
That's going to be E6. And Tim Anderson will pick up his first Major League error. He came on, he was trapped on this one. Instead of staying back, which he had a chance to do with A-Rod running, he decided to come in, but he couldn't get the short hop. So he got the in-between hop, hit the heel of the glove, bounced straight up. And Rodriguez beat the play at first base.
Inning continues for Mark Teixeira, and here's one of those moments you've been talking about all year where the pitcher ends up having to throw some extra because of a donated out from one side.
This is where you have to completely forget about what has happened in the inning and just make sure that you get Teixeira, who did hit a line drive first time up.
It was off the glove of Brett Lawrie. He recovered, threw home, and cut down Beltran at the plate to save the day in inning number 1. But for the second straight day, the Yankees have taken a 2-run lead in the second inning.
That ball up and out of the zone, and very anxious. Mark Teixeira expanded that zone.
Like a high slider.
It was. It wasn't where he wanted to throw it. It worked out real well.
And Carlos steps off for a moment. Ball and 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. 3 hits, 1 error in the inning. Tried to check his swing and couldn't do it. Second strikeout to end an inning tonight for Carlos Rodon. After 1.5, the Yankees by a pair.
Brought to you by T-Mobile, and it revolves around Chris Sale. Named to the All-Star team at 14-2, and why not? ERA .293, 17 starts, 3 complete games. Opponents hitting a paltry .214, and 118 strikeouts in 120 innings. You would have to think that Chris would be starting the All-Star game. And he would love to do that, and Robin said whatever Chris would like to do, he should be able to do.
First pitch here is a strike to Todd Frazier. Chris Sale has just had a magnificent year for the Sox.
Well, take into consideration that this team is now 3 games over 500. So it's been an up and down first half, some prolonged losing periods, some very good periods to start the year, but overall still 3 over, and Chris is 12 over himself.
In the air and foul right side for Frazier. There is Mr. Sale.
Yeah, the inference is that there are a lot of pitchers who can pitch to the approximate winning percentage of the ball club they pitch with, so they get on a good team and they're good enough to pitch in the neighborhood of 600 baseball if they have a team that plays in the neighborhood of 600 ball.
High in the air from Frazier. Ref Snyder on the retreat. Bails for Hicks. 1 out. So 5th straight All-Star selection for Sale, and here's who he will be surrounded by at some point. Salvador Perez, Eric Hosmer for the Kansas City Royals, but the big haul came from the Boston Red Sox. Their offensive season has been just extraordinary.
Well, DH-wise, David Ortiz is a lock, and you see a whole lot of votes for Bogaerts, Betts, and Bradley. Shortstop and 2 outfielders with Mike Trout playing center field in this one, and Manny Machado. Well, that's a very strong team.
Ball 1 to Brent Laurie. The fans in Houston this past weekend were chanting MVP for Jose Altuve in early July.
Assuming you had a halfway point MVP, there'd be a few candidates. David Ortiz would be one of them. But on the MVP, it's really interesting because it's not the best player. It's the most valuable player.
Brent Laurie is scalding the baseball all over the ball yard. He's on an 8-game hit streak now with that 1-out single.
He just reached down bottom of the zone and drove it into right center field. So not only did he make an outstanding defensive play to keep the Yankees off the scoreboard in the first, he took that sinking fastball, drilled it over the head of Ref Snyder, and he's aboard.
So Alex Avila, the batter. A lot of questions surrounding Jose Quintana and his viability as an all-star for the Sox, and with his wins above replacement being top 10 in Major League Baseball, where does he fit in with the lack of run support?
You know, it's a situation where the Sox have their one starter. That's Chris Sale. So now you ask yourself, some other teams who don't have the bona fide all-star, see how many spots they take up. Now, when you're looking at all the other numbers except for wins and losses, Jose Quintana deserves to be an all-star. But at 6 and 8, it's an uphill battle.
Alex Avila, drive to left field. Gardner back. It's off the wall. Laurie to third. Second and third. 1 out as Alex gives it a ride.
As Alex's batting average has started to rise, so does his use of left and left center field. And this was a line drive rocket that stayed in the ballpark. Gardner went back, but he couldn't go back quickly enough. This is a fastball that was running away, just not sinking. And Alex hit the middle of the fence. Salutes his teammates, and he carries with him the tying run.
It's a long-lasting smile from Alex Avila at second base. And it's up to Avi Garcia, who's been an outstanding hitter with runners in scoring position, especially with 2 out this year. He's got 1 down in the infield back now.
It looked to me like Romine was crossed up, and I think that's exactly what happened, because he reached up with the glove, turned his head, certainly wasn't expecting what he got. And take a look at Romine behind the plate. He's looking for a breaking pitch away, and he gets a fastball up high, and for him, very fortunate to get a glove on it. So he goes out and talks about the set of signs they're going to use with a catcher, Alex Avila, out at second base. Joe Girardi doesn't mind conceding the run for the out with everybody back in the infield.
So the implication being, with a catcher at second, he's more likely to be able to pick up your signs?
He probably is that, because he's gone through every set of signs known to man during the course of his career. But it wasn't that. It's just that Tanaka wasn't able to read the signs of Romine, and that's a scary proposition for a catcher.
Ball and a strike on Garcia. Second and third, one out. Swing and a miss.
You got to shorten your stroke here. They're conceding a run. You've got to make some contact. You can't ground into a double play, and with the infield back, a ground ball will get you a run. Hubby does have one sacrifice fly.
1-2. Tipped into the glove of Romine. 2 outs.
Every one of those pitches low and out of the zone. That ball rattled around in Romine's glove. Looked like a steady diet of splitters.
One out to play with still for the Sox, J.B. Shuck, who's nearly 260 since his call-up. He broke camp with the team, then was sent down to AAA a couple weeks into the season. 2 out, 2 on.
JB certainly has gotten some big hits during the course of this White Sox resurgence. He's been a huge part of it. He's hit 3 home runs in the last few weeks.
In the air to left, Gardner has it. Inning over. 2 left for the Sox. The Yankees still lead by 2. Shall we? It's Sox Social Night. Lou Adams is watching the game on the 405 in Los Angeles, stuck in traffic. Be careful behind the wheel. That's the only way to watch the game in Los Angeles, by the way, is in traffic. And oh, look at that cutie pie. Thanks for tweeting in. Hashtag Sox Social if you want us to see your tweets or photos tonight. Use that hashtag and we will pass it along to our viewership from across the earth. Castro is single. At some point this series, Starlin Castro will make an out. It just has yet to happen so far. He's been on 6 times in 6 trips.
With 5 hits and that first inning walk.
One on, nobody out for Chase Headley. Yankees have a beehive of base hits. The first 2 innings plus 6 hits for New York.
He got Headley to strike out with the bases loaded in the first inning.
Long one to left field. Melky Cabrera can only look up. And Chase Headley has his 3rd home run of the year against the Sox.
That gives him 7. 2 from the right side, 5 from the left. Driven in 25, and that was a no-doubter. It was right down the middle. Bad location for Carlos Rodon, our 4th home run replay. It was a slider. It stayed in the middle of the plate, and Headley, who's been swinging a good bat so far in this brief series, lines it out. It's a 4-run Yankee lead.
Rob Refsnyder, the batter. And it's been rather rare to see Carlos Rodon get hit with his slider this year. He's had some very good success with that pitch. He's throwing more strikes this season. Anderson on the charge, and he's got out number 1. So on Carlos Rodon, with that use of the slider, he is currently, at least starting play today, 5th in the American League in swings and misses against his slider, Steve.
Well, he's got 2 different ones, and what that reflects is his wipeout slider, which he throws when he's ahead of the hitters, and he usually throws it down and into the right-handers. Same spot to the lefties. They can't get it from either side. At that time was more of a get-me-over slider, ahead and trying to pick up strike 1. Only he used the middle of the plate, and Headley didn't miss it.
We'll see one of those guys on that list tomorrow. Michael Pineda for the Yankees.
By the way, if you remember the Detroit Tigers and they say to you Cleveland's on the schedule and we have to go play them, you're probably not particularly happy. The reason is Indians have beaten the Tigers 10 in a row coming into tonight, and apparently they like that trend because they're leading 7-0 in the top of the 6th in Cleveland in that one.
My goodness.
It's been astonishing.
Well hit left field. Melky on the retreat is there.
That was another pitch that was down the middle, and it's one thing to be wild. Carlos tonight is wild in the strike zone. That's another one of those get-me-over sliders. And using the middle of the plate, chases Melky back, makes a fine play on this line drive off the bat of Aaron Hicks.
Two out for Romine. When you're missing with your slider in the zone, what does that suggest maybe mechanically for a pitcher? Anything there?
Well, Don Cooper was suggesting to him that he try a few more of sliders when he's trying to get ahead. But normally what you want to do is you want to more nip the outside corner. Chris Sale does it very well. He throws his slider to get ahead on occasion, not always, and he'll break it outside to the outside third of the plate. But those 2 sliders drifted over the middle. Now Carlos isn't trying to throw them there. He just did.
Another pull side shot for the Yankees. This one from Romine. And Austin Romine shifts down into second base with a 2-out double.
That was a straight change. Another thing that Don Cooper is trying to get Carlos Rodon to do is use more straight changes, but he doesn't want him to use a great portion of the plate. So here's a straight change. It's just to the side of middle of the plate, Romine goes down and gets it and hits a line drive rocket. So a few line drives in this inning, and Carlos does not have particularly good stuff tonight.
8 hits for the Yankees through 2 2/3. And here is Brett Gardner, who's normally a very patient hitter, but swung at the first pitch last time. Takes a strike. Yankees got 2 in the second, 2 more here in the third in this game 2 of the series. Savor every swing you can see from Brett Gardner because he rarely does swing. He's taken nearly as many pitches as anybody in Major League Baseball.
Joe Mauer's at the top. Gardner is second. Zobris, Granderson, and Paul Goldschmidt.
Well, that's maybe not by design from Goldschmidt. He's not getting a whole lot to see.
He wouldn't in that lineup. Some of the injuries they've had.
Carlos gets a swinging strike 3 and has finished every inning with a strikeout, but the Yankees have touched him for 4.
U.S. Cellular Field in the middle game of the 3-game series between the White Sox and the Yankees. I'm Chris Bowden from Comcast Sportsnet, coming to you from the Sox Social Lounge. Why? Because it's Sox Social Media Night. As you can tell, it's very crowded in here as fans, if they use the hashtag Sox Social on Twitter or Facebook, can participate and or follow in tonight's festivities. We're sharing the posts on the broadcast as well. Some special prizes tonight as well coming out of that particular prize bin. As we send it back up to Jason and Steve, I'd like to send a smiley, thumbs up, fist bump, smiley emoji to you guys.
Emoji back to you, Chris. Bitmoji to you. As Tim Anderson goes after the first pitch that he sees from Tanaka. And Aaron Hicks is on the case for out number 1. The best part about the Sox Social Lounge, at least from my perspective, is you can plug in your phone there. If your phone's dying and you need to charge it, they have abundant chargers.
We were both in there the night that we actually broadcast from the K-Zone, so it did come in handy, a charging station. It was fun. We answered questions from curious fans and Curious George.
George Jacobs, rather curious that night. 1 out for Adam Eaton, and Tanaka flutters in a strike to Eaton, who has one of the Sox 3 hits tonight.
Tanaka was an all-star his first year in 2014. He was an all-star 5 different times in Japan.
He was basically a national hero in the high school ranks. He won the national high school championship with his school. And there you see as a pro.
Pretty impressive numbers in Japan. 99 and 35. Yikes.
You never pitched to the Far East, did you?
I did. I was in New York and Boston. It's as far east as I've ever gotten.
That's a silly question.
Cape Cod was a little farther east, actually. I pitched there, too.
Yeah. Harwich is often compared to Tokyo. 2-2 for Eaton with one away. Did you at least watch Mr. Baseball with Tom Selleck? Never caught that one?
I did see it, and it was an interesting movie. I like Tom Selleck, by the way.
2-2. In the dirt, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Tanaka in 2008 was the youngest Japanese baseball player to ever represent the country in the Olympics. It's pretty amazing. He was just overwhelming over there as a very young man.
Called strike 3. Eaton is down looking, so 2 away. And it's an important night here in the booth, by the way, Steve. It is our first half championship for Sox Math, and this is your prize. It is an actual bulb from the light towers here at U.S. Cellular Field. If you're the winner, and you can only win this if you've won Sox Math a couple of times, this is your prize tonight.
Gives you an idea, number one, that
an idea?
It's a whole lot larger device than you ever thought it was, and number two, you realize that it's changed by hand anytime that a bulb burns out. And so you have to go up there. I don't have to go up there. Jason doesn't have to go up there, but
Glenn does.
Go up there. Glenn goes up there. He told us that he's been doing it for quite some time, and he goes up there by himself and changes those.
Without a harness.
Yeah, very brave fellow. And his lovely wife, Sonia, I'm sure is just delighted that he's able to do that.
What a harrowing thing to do.
Yeah.
But they're changed by hand. I mean, you don't even think about it when you come to the ballpark. You just look and you assume that they're going to be live and ready to go. 2 strikes on Abreu. Tanaka in search of his first 1-2-3 inning. Abreu testing that, but Tanaka is cleanly through the third. 4-0 Yankees with the lead after 3. Take on the Atlanta Braves on Saturday, July 9th at 1:10 p.m. First 20,000 fans get a White Sox cap presented by the Private Bank. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Interesting visitor between innings. The radio voice, or certainly one of them, of the White Sox, Ed Farmer, stopping in the booth wanting the bulb that you have as the prize tonight. Apparently he feels that he needs some more lighting in the radio booth.
Ed has yet to win Sox Math.
No, but you held on to it doggedly, and I respect that.
He's a tough customer.
Mm-hmm.
And a wonderful guy. On one strike, Beltran to right center field. Long run for Shuck. He's at the wall, and this ball is off the fence. Carlos Beltran is 3 for 3 in this game.
3 for 3 leading off the 4th inning, and Beltran is swinging it very well. Taking it the opposite way. That ball again with too much of the plate. We talk about wild in the strike zone when you're not hitting your spots, especially against a veteran team, and that's exactly what the Yankees are. You're going to have some problems. So Carlos, who had 1 hit yesterday, that coming late from the right side, has 3 of them today.
Alex Rodriguez, first pitch hunting with a foul ball. He is 1 for 2. He's doubled and he's reached on an error.
Kansas City Royals put their closer on the disabled list. Wade Davis, the overwhelming closer. So Kansas City having injuries pile up for them. They came in 7 back of Cleveland.
And the Royals tonight are trailing in Toronto 7-2 in the home 7th.
Royals just a half game ahead of our Sox.
Ball and 2 strikes on Rodriguez, and that wild card is all jammed up. I mean, the top 6-7 teams are right there in a pack.
Sox came in 2 games back in the wild card.
High fly ball right center field. Shuck chops his steps and has out number 1. Beltran to third. Social media night, hashtag Sox Social. Brian is just a guy in Montana and a family of Yankee fans watching his White Sox. Hashtag Dad is disappointed in me. Hashtag Sox Social. Come on, Dad. Let your son spread his wings. Become a Sox fan.
It's so easy to be a Yankee fan because you win so many World Series.
The check swing on Teixeira, ball number 1. A lot of Yankee fans have made the trip here to Chicago.
Over 30,000 in yesterday's game. Nice crowd, not quite as much today.
Nice night for baseball here in Chicago. A little bit humid as compared to yesterday. Just sit back and relax.
It was 86 at game time.
Two and one on Teixeira. Carlos trying to pitch over that leadoff double.
And Chris Beck loosening in the pen. The infield thinking about cutting off the run, not all the way in because Teixeira doesn't have big speed.
Frazier was guarding the line until the pitch was coming. Then he sidestepped off the line at third, but still playing in.
I talked with a number of good third basemen over the years. They told me that the way to play exceptional third base is to read the angle of the bat through the strike zone. If you can do that, you can get a jump quickly one way or the other.
Fair ball down the line.
Unfortunately, moving out. Pitch before might have cost him, but that would be difficult to play anyway because that literally went right over the bag.
Yankees lead 5-0. And a visit coming from Don Cooper.
Only the 18th run batted in by Mark Teixeira, who during the course of his career has been a huge run producer, but he takes it right down the line, right over the middle of the bag. Bill Welke, the toughest thing he had to do was get out of the way of the ball as he motions into fair territory.
So runner at second, 1 in, 1 out for Starlin Castro. Time now for your first half Sox Math Championship. 6 parts today. The square root of Albert Bell's career high in Sox home runs, multiplied by Ray Durham's total bases as an all-star. Subtract Frank Thomas's career home run total at Old Yankee Stadium with the Sox. Divide Chris Sabo's home run total with the Sox. Add Tom Seaver's win total with the Sox, and subtract the number of schools other than Adam Eaton's alma mater, which have graduated both a U.S. president and Super Bowl winning quarterback. Your Sox Math first half championship tonight. Good luck to all competitors.
That's a tough one. I was lobbying for 4 more.
4 more lines?
To add, subtract, and do whatever, but you held it to 6.
Gotta make it easy for the folks. Carlos misses inside to Starlin Castro, who has been on twice tonight after a 4 for 4 in yesterday's Independence Day game. Yankees with 10 hits so far through 3 1/3.
Yankees come into this at 2 under 500, 7 games in back of Baltimore. Winners of 4 of their last 10. And scuffling on the road. Not so here tonight.
They were just 1 and 3 so far, 4 games into this 3-leg road trip. At San Diego for Joe Girardi's team, now here, and then at Cleveland before the All-Star break. On the ground, Laurie ranges over. There's the second out to share it a third for Chase Headley.
Second out, and the first time the Sox have retired Starlin Castro in the series. The Indians, who appear that they will win the ball game tonight against the Tigers, to go 11-0, playing .667 baseball at home, 24-12 to action tonight.
By the way, some folks are tweeting in about how difficult tonight's Sox Math question was. There's a purpose to that. This is the championship of the first half of Sox Math. It will be easier tomorrow.
Do you believe that they think that it should be very easy when this is the elite, the champion of champions?
This is the Sox Math creme de la creme.
This is the big kahuna, the big cheese, the major domo, the guy that has everything going for him.
The big kahuna. Did you just come out of a Frankie Avalon movie?
Exactly right. One of my faves.
You got the shirt on for a Frankie and Annette flick, that's for sure. Up and out, 1 and 2. By the way, it's a boy.
Both wearing shades of blue.
It's a good look for you. Is that silk?
Well, I'm one of the few people that really orders bell-bottom shirts these days. So when you get a chance, you wear them, and just happen to have the logo on it. That's why I bought it. Well, did I say buy?
Yeah.
No, that's why I got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
1-2. Frazier backs up on it. Across the diamond. And he's got the final out of the top of the 4th. Yanks get a run. Teixeira doubles in Beltran. 5-0 after 3.5. Ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience in the Home Plate Club or Magellan Scout Seats. These two premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating. I'd like to welcome all of our viewers watching on Telstar Cablevision in Metamora, Illinois, and all the White Sox fans in Peoria and Woodford counties. Metamora was settled by Yankees from the Northeast, providing a wonderful tie-in for tonight's ball game. Originally known as Hanover, now Metamora.
They wanted a change of venue.
Yes, Counsel. Melky takes ball 2. Sox are on the uphill climb with the Yankees scoring 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 1 in the fourth.
With his heat and humidity, it will be a very lively ballpark.
Wrap to first. Teixeira up high for it. What a play.
You didn't think he had that kind of spring, but he goes up as high as he can possibly go up to keep it out of right field. And then, realizing that he has some time, does what first basemen should do more, which is when they get a chance to take it themselves, eliminate the throw, and he took it himself.
So 1 down for Frazier on a whale of a play. Strike 1 to Todd. Flight out to center in the second inning. Nothing in 2 on Frazier. It's Sox social night. How about that? Flying 500 miles today to see the Todd father, and he pays it off with a signature. Mission accomplished, Todd Frazier. Hashtag Sox Social.
He'd love to thrill him with the long ball.
Tough to do on that pitch, down and away. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Tanaka this year doing a good job of keeping the ball in the ballpark overall. Got 3 starters on this team that have thrown more home runs than he has.
Broken bat. Headley throws out his counterpart, 2 away. It's the type of thing that Tanaka has a tendency to do. Shatter a bat or 2.
Throw some ground balls as he kept that ball in a perfect spot, low and away. Showing that Todd has been looking to pull just about everything. And he caught it off the end of the bat. So one of the hottest, if not the hottest, of all the Sox hitters. Looking out at Tanaka. But the outfield shaded him well into right center and a huge gap in left.
Another singed baseball from Brett Lawrie is foul, 0-1.
That time Tanaka got the whole plate and Lawrie just missed a double down the line. And there you see the defense with that huge gap as Gardner now starting to drift more into left center field to shrink the gap.
Ball and a strike for Lawrie, who singled back in the second to right field. That was over second base. Brett now on an 8-game hit streak. And he very easily could shatter his career high of 29 doubles. He's got 22 already, and it's not the All-Star break.
If he doesn't shatter that, it's going to be a real tough second half for him. Now Tanaka, who has yet to walk anybody tonight, has had at least 1 walk in his last 25 starts going back to last year. But this year, He is throwing a lot of strikes.
That was high ball 4. Rudd will take it.
That ball had the whole zone.
One on, 2 out, and some ceremonial first pitches for you. It is Grateful Dead night, so very fitting that we would have the keyboardist here at the ballpark. That was one of our ceremonial first pitches. And then Brad Guzan, the goalie for the U.S. men's soccer team, with a strike. Maybe a little bit high, but a nice job.
Helps to have a goalie who's right around 6'6".
Strike 1 to Alex Avila. Yeah, you can fill up a good chunk of that net if you're a tall man.
He's not the
Grateful
goalie.
Dead night. Well, it's Tom.
Not the goalie.
Well, maybe for the Grateful Dead soccer team. Alex Avila trying to beat the shift. Rev Snyder is on target. Laurie stranded on a ground ball to right field. 5-0 Yankees after 4. Answer. Albert Bell's career high in Sox homers is 49. The square root of that is 7. Ray Durham had 2 total bases as an all-star. That's 14. Subtract Frank's career home run total at Yankee Stadium. That is 8 with the Sox. He had 2 not as a White Sox player. Chris Sabo had 1 Sox homer. Tom Seaver with a grand total of 33 wins as a White Sox player. And there are 3 other schools than Miami of Ohio with a U.S. president and Super Bowl winning quarterback. The answer is 36, and the light bulb goes to Cody C. Swear. 12 is your winner of the first half Sox Math Championship. How about that? It'll be easier tomorrow, folks.
That's a real tough one.
That was a long and winding road. 5th inning. Pitch outside to Rob Refsnyder. By the way, those other universities, Stanford, the University of Michigan, and the Naval Academy, with U.S. presidents and Super Bowl winners at quarterback. 2-0 on Rob Refsnyder, with the Yankees leading 5-0. Steve, they got 2 in the second, 2 in the third, and 1 more in the 4th.
They've also banged out 10 hits.
3-0. There's a strike. 3 balls, 1 strike to Rev Snyder.
Rev Snyder, born in Seoul, South Korea. Adopted by Jane and Clint Rev Snyder of Laguna Hills, California.
Back in 1991, parents you just mentioned were in Los Angeles to get Rob's visa approved. There was an earthquake as they were at the restaurant across from the federal building where they were going to have the documents approved. They ran out of the restaurant, and Mom realized in the middle of the earthquake that she left some of the original documents in the restaurant and had to run back in and get them. Three and 2. Rev Snyder takes ball 4.
You said you saw him in the minor leagues. He looked like a pretty solid player, and he's putting together a very nice year for the Yankees because he can play anywhere, and he's hitting in the neighborhood of 280. That's not easy to do coming off the bench.
Wow. That is a Grateful Dead fan. That is a deadhead if you've ever seen one.
I'd like to see him move to see that he really is a fan and not
a mannequin.
Yeah. Or someone that needs attending to quickly.
There you go.
Okay, it is bright in here tonight.
Those lights, it's very bright. Rev Snyder at first. Aaron Hicks, the batter. He is the only Yankee player not supposed to hit so far.
It went awfully hard to Melky and was robbed.
Not going to be robbed here. This is a double play ground ball. 463, 2 out.
There was a time in this game when you could go right at the shortstop as he comes across the bag, but not these days, as Anderson goes well wide of the bag. If Rev Snyder tried to do anything but pretty much go at the bag, would have been a double play anyway because it would have been called interference.
Austin Romine fouls it away.
He's been up twice, hit the ball hard twice. And in yesterday's game, Albers, Duke, Jones, and Jennings worked out of the bullpen.
That ball's hammered to left, and Romine has gone deep. 6-0 Yankees.
Romine, who just missed a home run his first time up. It's his third time up. Under within 15, and tonight he's been seeing Carlos Rodon exceptionally well. Ford home run replay. That one actually maybe a touch inside, and Romine opened it up, got the good part of the bat on it, and took him way back.
And this Yankees offense, which had no runs in the final 7 innings yesterday, has poured it on today with 6. Ball to strike on Gardner. Yankees, as we mentioned, are in an interesting spot. They're 7 back of Baltimore in the American League East. 6 ahead of Tampa in last place. As Gardner slashes this to Frazier, who can't find it. And Gardner is on here in the 5th.
And it's a base hit. It's going to be the 12th Yankee hit. Gardner hits this ball hard. Frazier playing well wide of the line, knocks it down, can't find it, and Gardner's got great speed, so Beck continues to throw in the pen. This is his second time up, so he would be ready to go. Beltran has had quite a night.
Carlos 3 for 3. Single to left, single to right, double to center. Run scored, RBI. That'll fill out the spray chart for you. And a check on first, and Gardner, you mentioned the speed, 12 stolen bases, 14 tries. For the second place man on the Yankees is Beltran, who was just 1 for 5 yesterday, with a single coming in his final at bat. Now has a hit in 4 straight at bats as he swings through this pitch. Well, for Carlos Rodon, who's been remarkably consistent month to month this year, 5 earned on the board so far tonight. Just missed spots tonight, Steve?
Yeah, he was wild in the strike zone most of the night. Yankees swinging it very well, though, and this is the second time this year that Carlos has given up 12 hits.
Well, the pitch number is still short of 100. Throwing a lot of fastballs in back, as you might expect.
89% when he's been behind.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Home run in the inning for Austin Romine. Yankees with 2 homers in this game. Chase Headley, a 2-run shot as the second batter of the 3rd inning. Two and 2. Foul of 3rd again. Sox creeping along to the All-Star break. They'll have a game tomorrow, and we will see Michael Pineda against Miguel Gonzalez. Then 3 against the Atlanta Braves before the All-Star festivities. Punch to right, Adam Eaton. We're out number 3. Yankees grab 1 more. We are halfway home tonight with New York ahead. Thank you. And this being Sox Social Night, Chuck's last tweet was he was being a very good partner. He says, Belton Bill Melton's taking your questions. Anything goes on the CSN White Sox account. Use the hashtag AskMelton. Chuck's last tweet.
Very nice.
You can follow him at Chuck Garfien. That's Garfien. A good follow, as the kids say. Avi Garcia takes a one-hopper, 1 ball, 1 strike. Avi came up in a big spot in the second inning, second and third, 1 out. Tanaka peppered him with splitters.
Got the strikeout on the third of 3 splitters. JB Shuck lifted a fly ball, and that was it for the erstwhile rally in the second.
Ball and 2 strikes on Garcia. Well, we saw the Sox against Tigers come back from a big old deficit. So, at least for now, that lingers in some minds. Sox were down 7-0 in that game after 2.5. A little bit later and a little bit less of a lead tonight. Ground ball to third, Headley for out number 1. Sox Social Night, as we mentioned, use the hashtag SoxSocial. Here is your tweet. First time at the home of the Chicago White Sox, had to get a dog for the game. What's that on that hot dog, Steve? That's from Legend of Dakota. What's that on that hot dog?
Well, I see bacon.
Yeah.
And
I think mustard.
I see mustard.
What's that red condiment?
That's marinara sauce.
It is.
Yeah, that's a tradition where that fan was raised.
Hot dog parm, is that what you're arguing here?
Grasping at straws.
Yeah, well.
It looked like ketchup, but again, not being a Chicagoan, that fan, you know, can be excused. On the other side of the coin, you know, this one was knocking at the door of the gigantic Sunday.
Yeah.
Assuming that the Sox can come back and win this one. But a daunting task unless in the next couple of innings they get a whole lot closer than they are now because of Betances, Miller, and Chapman. The big 3 at the back end of the pen.
Dragged to second. Ref Snyder in the charge for out number 2. You're referring to the deal that you made with me that I was unable to say no to, whereby if the Sox win 4 in a row at some point, especially during a home stretch, I will eat a helmet Sunday.
And they've been knocking at the door one other time, only to fall short. We'll see how this plays out.
Where it's starting to turn into never on Sunday for my ice cream consumption.
Probably 4 more outs before the big 3 could be lined up.
Referring to Betances, Miller, and Chapman, the heavy hitters in that Yankee bullpen. 2 out for Anderson. And Tanaka is in cruise mode. He has yet to give up a hit since that second inning.
He's not throwing any strikes to Tim. And so that's one of the reasons why he's gotten them out twice rather easily.
2 strikes. And in the dirt, 1 ball and 2 strikes from Tanaka.
Romine wanted that splitter and pounded the dirt with his glove as if to say, throw it in the dirt, that's where I want it. If he swings, I'm going to block it. And whether you got a good splitter or curveball or a wipeout slider, when your catcher convinces you that he's going to block anything, you just throw a better pitch.
1 and 2 from Tanaka. Anderson to left field. Brett Gardner roving over and makes the catch. Out number 3. 1-2-3 inning for Tanaka. 6-0 Yankees post 5 tonight. Planning to watch tonight's game at a local bar until Miller Lite called and offered up their extra seats. Now here they are kicking back with their friends this summer. Kick back with Miller Lite, just like our friends in right field. New pitcher, Steve.
We got Chris Beck coming into the ball game. Carlos Rodon went 5, and his night is done. Beck will go through the heart of the order. There you look at the numbers on for the 5th time. No record. ERA 5.79.
First pitch, a strike to Alex Rodriguez here in the 6th inning. What's your takeaway from Carlos Rodon tonight, Steve? What do you do next start?
Come right back out and try to do exactly what you were trying to do tonight, but couldn't get it done. And he wasn't trying to use a lot of the plate, but that's what happened. So when pitchers talk about location, they're talking about making a good pitch but throwing it where they want to throw it. Location was a big problem tonight, and even on a team that has not hit that well this year, the New York Yankees qualify for that. When you miss your location and use too much of the plate, and you have a veteran hitting team, which they are, they're going to take advantage of just about all your mistakes.
Couple of homers tonight for the Yankees. They got their first runs in the 2nd, 2 more in the 3rd. As Rodriguez stays alive on 2 strikes. By the way, happy birthday to Goose Gossage today.
A former roommate when I was with the White Sox. The Hall of Famer.
This is the Goose Gossage revenge game.
Came up with the Sox and became a star with the Yankees.
What was Goose like as a roommate?
I would say unusual, to be kind. Now, Goose was a terrific guy. He was unusual.
Off the plate, ball and 2 strikes on A-Rod.
I will just say that he was my last roommate in the major leagues.
He was?
Yes.
You decided after that,
I'm
no
going
more
to room
roommates.
alone for the sake of my career. And that's what happened the rest of the way.
So he meant a lot to you as a teammate.
He did.
Frazier comes ahead to grab it, and 1 down. Who were your other roommates?
Before that?
Yeah, before that. You remember? Anyone stand out as a particularly good roommate?
Well, early in my career, it was too early to gauge because, again, Goose was my roommate in '73. I came to the major leagues with the Giants in '71 and a couple of guys that were going up and down from the minor leagues. But when you got a bit older, you could, although you had to pay for it, you could get your own room.
With the shift on, that is a perfect spot for Mark Teixeira.
These days, he's not going to get a whole lot of infield hits, but scooping it off the end of the bat with Todd Frazier playing him as a dead pull hitter, you can see where he lines up, pretty much straightaway shortstop. And as soon as this hits the grass, it's not going anywhere. It's just staying right there, and nothing at all for Chris Beck to do with it except go back and try to make some pitches to Starlin Castro.
Not the hardest hit of the 1,823 for Mark Teixeira in his career. It'll do the trick. 1 on, 1 out for Starlin Castro. So, did you have to pay for the whole room, or did you kind of subtract the cost?
You subtracted the cost in those days, and then of course it became a contractual situation where when you negotiated, you got that as part of your deal. And now, of course, not even in the equation, except many times at the hotel we stay at in Tampa. Actually St. Pete, but we play the Tampa Bay Rays. And that is said to be haunted.
Is that true?
Yeah. Well, is it true that it's haunted? I don't know, but it's true that they say it's haunted, and some guys do want a room together because they're kind of afraid that one of our other dimensional friends will come and visit them during the evening. Not sure what exactly they believe is going to happen, but yeah, we've seen some guys room together.
The Yankees AAA club is in Scranton, and the visiting hotel in Scranton is said to be haunted as well. It's an old train station that they've hollowed out and made into a hotel. And there are a lot of rumors and stories about the hotel being haunted. So, I mean, I was there a couple years worth, and there was one night where I went to sleep. TV was off, no deadbolt on the door. I wake up, TV on, latch closed on the door. Spooky, right?
So it was a thoughtful ghost.
It was.
Want to make sure that nobody broke in your room, which I can certainly respect. And the Del Coronado, by the way, in San Diego, is also one that's said to have some strange things happen.
Yeah, I don't like it when my TV's off when I go to sleep and on when I wake up. And I don't like it when I'm locked in the room by something else. I don't like it.
Thoughtful.
Thoughtful. Want to make sure that I caught all those reruns. 3-1 to Castro. He's on the corner, a strike. 3-2 with Teixeira at first and 1 out in this 6th inning.
So teams in the race that the Sox will be chasing. Kansas City lost 8-3 to Toronto north of the border, and Cleveland blasting Detroit 11-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
3-2. Yank past third. Castro with his 6th hit of the series in 2 games. Hey, Sox fans, Monday, July 25th, 7:10 p.m. Your Chicago White Sox take on the Chicago Cubs, presented by United Airlines. United, proud to fly the Chicago White Sox. Purchase tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME. Tough ticket to get here at U.S. Cellular Field. Cubs and Sox both playing over 500 baseball.
Going to be very exciting 4 games, 2-2. Carlos Rodon went 5 innings, gave up the 6 runs, 5 of them earned on 12 hits, a couple of walks, 3 strikeouts, and 2 home runs.
Headley had one of those homers. It went to left field to his pull side, batting from the right-hand side. Alex Avila started this game for the Sox. Deoner Navarro has come in to catch. Try and get you an update on Alex as the game wears on.
Alex did double in the 2nd inning when all was beautiful. It looked like a rally forthcoming. 2nd and 3rd, only 1 out. Sox came away empty.
Two and 1 on Headley. He's got 2 hits in the series, both homers. Two and 2. Everything away to Headley here. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
In yesterday's loss, the first 3 hitters, that was Ellsbury, Gardner, and Beltran, was only one hit combined, and that was the last at bat by Carlos Beltran. So they held down the top of the order. That translated into a victory. Today, not so. 6 hits combined for the top 3.
Headley adds one to the list for the Yankees and loads the bases. Teixeira coasts into third, Castro to second.
Don Cooper coming out. The base is full of Yankees. He wants a word with Chris Beck.
Loaded with 1 out for Ref Snyder.
You probably want to know the rest of the schedule.
I do.
And to do that, it's time now for White Sox upcoming schedule, brought to you by Travel Wisconsin. Plan your fun today at travelwisconsin.com. So the Yankees here tomorrow for a night game, the finale of the series, then the off day on Thursday, and the Braves come to town over the weekend. The triumphant return of A.J. Pierzynski.
White Sox great behind the plate. A number of others too. The Braves have Lucas Harrell, our old friend.
Yeah.
Gordon Beckham.
Former partner of mine. Chip Carey doing the play-by-play for Atlanta.
Ref Snyder a launch to right field. Adam Eaton scoots over. Teixeira with the tag, and that's not a good idea. See ya. Yet another Red and Adam Eaton bedtime story at home. 9-2 double play. The Sox 16 sweepstakes. You could win one of 16 weekly prizes or monthly prize packs, as well as an amazing grand prize at the end of the season. Visit whitesox.com/Sox16 for complete details. James Spader not eligible.
We'll take a look at the tag box and we'll see the timing. Timing is good. The speed is not. The throw is excellent. One hop, guns him down at the plate for his 12th assist of the year from Adam Eaton in right field. You run on him these days at your peril, and more times than not, he will cut you down. And how often does it happen with the bases loaded and line drive to throw out to sheer at the plate, and then you lead off the next inning?
Every time tonight.
It's 100%.
It's amazing. It's ball number 1 to Mr. Eaton, who coming into the night was leading the league in defensive runs saved at 18. That should give him another to 19. As he hits this well, left center field, not enough. Hicks gets underneath it.
The wind took care of that one, because anytime you see the ball drift that far to the right of an outfielder, you know that it was batted down by the wind. This one headed out of the ballpark. It's hanging slider from Tanaka. Adam gets most of it. You see Hicks now. He's lined it up, but look how far it's pushed to his right. That's the wind actually knocking it down, and Tanaka wants it to stay in the ballpark, as you would expect. It does, with a little help from the wind.
Really started to pick up.
Yep.
Right to left, or at least the flag saying that ball says. As Abreu touches it foul, 0-1. Sox last hit came in the second inning for Alex Avila, now departed from the ball game.
If that's earlier in the ball game, that's out of here, but not here in the sixth.
And on Avila, we're told it's a right hamstring strain for Alex. Remember, he was on the disabled list with a hamstring injury earlier this year. That is the same hamstring. It was the right one last time as well.
Depending on the severity, we're probably going to see a call-up, but they'll have to make that decision and see what happens.
Well, this being Sox Social Night, hashtag Sox Social. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play today. A young one with a big old glove who wants to get in.
That's a really big glove.
Could hold nachos in that.
We don't know what's in it. But very cute.
Abreu tags it to left. It's a one-out single for the Sox. Trying to see a rally bubble up in the sixth.
Well, emotions boiling over as you would expect when you're on the verge of losing 11 straight to one team. Miguel Cabrera tossed out of a ball game in Cleveland in the sixth inning. He thought he had fouled the ball off his leg. The ball was ruled in play. He was called out and then thrown out.
That first win against the Indians is a long time coming for the Tigers this year.
Very economical so far for Tanaka. Only given up 4 hits. He was in a jam in the second. That's the only jam he's been in this evening.
Second and third, one out in that second inning. And a jam here. Melky Cabrera with a single. 2 on, 1 out for the Sox in this sixth.
We talked about the importance of trying to get some runs in the fifth or sixth, preferably both. They came away empty last inning, but 2 on, 1 out in this inning, and that's a fastball over the middle of the plate. Melky goes down, gets it, drills it back right up the middle. And a chance. Try to narrow the gap before the final innings in this one.
Well, you're talking about that heavy artillery in the Yankees bullpen with Betances, Miller, and Chapman. Those guys, when they all three pitch in a game this year, the Yankees are 14-1.
Hard to get to any of them because they all can close.
Chapman's thrown a lot more strikes this year.
He's in preparation for his free agency. Miller is going to hang around for a while, and they view Betances as a closer in waiting. So if they do fall out, and they're far from falling completely out of it, especially in the wild card, there's going to be teams salivating to get their hands on one or both of those left-handed relievers at the back.
A very hard-throwing rental, Aroldis Chapman.
Well, by making that acquisition, the Yankees served notice that they were going after it. Otherwise, you go with what you have, and it would have been good enough. But slotting everybody down with Chapman at the back end makes the bullpen deeper.
Well, there's your tag. Need a crosswalk over there. Melky runs into Teixeira, and the inning's over. 3 unassisted on the double play, 6-0 Yankees. Melky says he didn't tag him.
Field advantage, and we're looking at the Sox pen here at U.S. Cellular Field. They've been brilliant. ERA at 2.30, opponent's batting average way down there. Only allowed 5 home runs the first half of this season. Strikeout to walk ratio very good at 2.2. 14 saves and a 4-1 record. So contrasting that with the ERA on the road, home cooking is awfully good to the Sox bullpen.
And they've gotten rest recently as well, which is good news for a really beleaguered bullpen at points in May with a lot of usage.
You'd really like to do that, especially if you're intent on staying in it. The Sox are certainly that. Just 2 back in the wild card coming into action tonight. But so far, it's been all Yankees. Sox out hit 15-5.
Yankees had 3 hits last inning. Couldn't score as Adam Eaton threw out Mark Teixeira at the plate for the final out. It's one of those times when you're vying for the wild card, you look at some of these series and you say, who do we root for? And Toronto and Kansas City are playing, 2 teams that are just ahead of the Sox.
You always root for Toronto in that situation. You root against your division. I understand, you know, the whole wild card scenario, but you can't give up on the division. Although Cleveland looks awfully tough, their pitching staff is overwhelming. They're going to go 51-32, playing over 600 baseball. But you always got to think that you're going to catch them, and if not, you're going to certainly catch Detroit and Kansas City. So you're going to be in second place behind Cleveland, then qualified to beat some of those other teams and let them get beaten up in their own division to eventually supplant them as one of the 2 wild card teams.
What about the counter to that? That the Sox play more games against the division, so you'd rather have the division lose games to you but win out of division.
No, that certainly is a wonderful counter, and I don't agree with that, but it is a counter. There is a counter to every situation, indeed.
Well, you're saying you've just got to go for the division as long as you can go for the division,
you
right?
You have to do that, and you have to make sure that you finish second, unless you're in a situation where, like the Cubs last year, they finished 3rd in their division, but they got into the wild card because they won 97 games.
There's a strike. Hicks yanked back.
So all 3 teams at the top of the division, the Cardinals, the Pirates, and the Cubs, made the postseason. The Cubs almost got there, didn't. But in a normal year, without winning 97, you better finish second in your division.
Three and two to Hicks. And he lashes it down the left field line and foul. And then there's that whole trade deadline thing. I mean, in 26 days, the non-waiver trade deadline, somebody, even if it's not the Sox, or even if it's not the teams in the division, somebody's going to get better.
I would say a lot of teams are going to get better because there's some teams that are down and out of it with some guys they certainly want to move, and it'll come in a couple of different ways.
Ball 4 to Hicks, leadoff man aboard here in the 7th.
Number one, it'll be some contracts that teams want to divest themselves of. Now that's a way you can make a deal after the non-waiver deadline. You can always make a deal to get a contract that the team wants to get rid of. But before then, you'll get some teams that don't have the system that they'd like. They'd like to get a whole lot better in their system. And to get young players, you got to trade somebody of consequence to help a team in contention, and then help rebuild your own system by taking advantage of teams that maybe scout and develop a little bit better than you do and have all of these young players waiting. They might have young players in the major leagues. There's a log jam there, so their good minor league players have no place to go. As they get better, they use them to trade. That's how you use an organization. You bring up the best of the best, trade the others, and then rebuild and fill in where you need be. And that's what Boston's going to do, because Boston is loaded with good young players in the major leagues. I mean, really young players that have come of age this year.
And we saw it. They're all-stars, right?
Yeah. So now you look at their minor leagues, and there's no place for these guys to go. Imagine being an outfielder in that organization. Where are you going to go?
Get me out of here.
Shortstop, second base. Where are you going to go? You're going to go to another team.
Eaton and Wright on Romine's fly ball. One away in the 7th.
So those are trades that you look to make, and you know there's teams that believe there may be a player or two away from not only getting in the playoffs, but in their own mind, if they get in the playoffs, they believe that they can make it. Boston is one of those teams. Baltimore will be looking for a starting pitcher. Cleveland probably would love one more bat because they don't know what Michael Brantley's going to come back with, even though the Indians are playing great. They're doing it for the most part. I mean, they're hitting surprisingly well, but they do need one more bat, they believe, because the starting pitching has been wonderful.
I mean, they basically have 3 aces at this point at the front of that rotation. And, you know, as we're talking about this, I said, even if it's the Sox that don't make a move, somebody's going to get better. That doesn't exclude the Sox from wanting to make a move. Rick Hahn has been very clear that if something's presented or he finds something that he wants to pull the trigger on, he's going to go for it this season. The point just being, even if you feel like you're okay right now as it stands, these rosters aren't going to be the same as you look at them 26 days from now.
And Texas has some very talented players in their organization, and they believe they might be one quality starting pitcher away from being consequential. I mean, getting to the World Series and maybe winning it. So we'll have to see what they do. They have a good combination. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of young players. And they've had a lot of injuries in that starting rotation. Now, whether they come back with anything or not, we'll have to see what John Daniels decides to do.
I think I saw Yu Darvish is on a rehab assignment now.
But he came back once before, and he wasn't even close to what he had been, and you never really know if that arm's going to come back with anything left. So I think they feel much more comfortable with an insurance policy in their starting rotation.
2 balls and a strike for Gardner. Hicks at first with a leadoff walk. There's one away on the fly ball from Romine. Now 3-1 for Gardner, who's been on twice. Well, it's currently a favorable schedule for the Sox, wrapping around the All-Star break. The Braves, who are next on the docket after the Yankees, 28-55, entering play tonight. Then the Angels, who have really fallen out of it in the West. This ball hit to left and hooking down. Gardner has his 3rd hit of the game. Hicks to second base. So the Braves have not been playing good ball. The Angels are 17 under starting play tonight, so the Sox have an opportunity to ramp up around that All-Star break.
And depending on Seattle and the health of their starting rotation, they could be very tough at home. if the starters are healthy, and that remains to be seen, including King Felix.
Two on for Carlos Beltran, who is 3 for 4 tonight with a double and a run scored. And he takes a strike. Felix Hernandez went on the DL on June the 1st with that calf injury.
That can be really troublesome for all baseball players, but especially pitchers. Michael Enoa starts to throw in the pen.
Chris Beck trying to sop up some innings here for the Sox. It's low, 2 balls and a strike. Fastball in at 90, pitch number 37 for Beck tonight, who came in to start the 6th after 5 innings from Carlos Rodon this evening. Pitch sails outside, 3-1.
Ellis Beltran was named as a reserve for this year's American League All-Star team. That's the 9th time he will appear in an All-Star game. It's a wonderful career. Came up with Kansas City. In those days he could do it all. He could fly in center field, hit for power from both sides of the plate.
He made his major league debut on September 14th of 1998 with the Kansas City Royals. He was a replacement in that game for Larry Sutton, the venerable
Larry Sutton,
former Royal. Into the stars it goes. Tim Anderson. Out number 2. Sox social night tonight. Hashtag Sox social. Best friends by day, enemies by game time. Hashtag Sox social. That's frenemies in one tweet. And that's for you, Steve, from Sean Kelly.
that hound is a very big Sox fan. Jersey just a touch too big. Maybe the hound will grow into it.
You know, if it were a movie, it would be called The Sox and the Hound.
Lord.
Hashtag dad jokes. Alex Rodriguez pops it up. Abreu. Hey, look, it's stretch time tonight at U.S. Cellular Field. Sox have some climbing. Biggest summer events are back-to-back. Home Run Derby, July 11th, 7 p.m. Central. And the very next night, don't miss baseball's biggest stars at the 87th All-Star Game. July 12th, coverage begins at 6:30 p.m. Central. Here are the starters for the National League as announced today. There's a certain feel to the National League team.
How about the all-Cub infield of Anthony Rizzo, Ben Zobrist, Chris Bryant, and Addison Russell, along with Dexter Fowler, although he's been injured. He was voted to the team. The whole infield, 26 or younger. And in the American League, the infield plus catcher, the only time it's ever happened, infield plus catcher, 26 or younger. So a great flavor of youth representing all of baseball in this All-Star game. And that bodes well for the game. We're seeing so many great young players come in.
There's Rob Refsnyder, who's moved to right field. Ronald Torreyes has moved to shortstop. Starlin Castro is into second base. You saw a note, right? The other time, all the infield and a catcher at that age,
26 or under?
26 or under was the 1963 Cardinals. Is that right?
Well, that was the American League infield.
Oh,
so
right.
From the National League infield, yes, but that didn't include the catcher.
Oh, it didn't include the catcher earlier.
Right. So
right,
yeah,
right.
so the National League, yes, 63 Cardinals. American League never happened before when you include the catcher. So you look at young players all over baseball, it's absolutely remarkable, and it's wonderful to see.
Strike three to Laurie.
It's been a big pitch for Tanaka tonight. He's throwing a slider, and he's dotting the outside corner whenever he throws it. Just a little movement. That one would be more aptly described as a cutter. Whatever it is, it's in a perfect spot.
How do you differentiate? What are you seeing?
A slider has depth. So by depth, I mean that not only does it move away, right-hander to right-hander, it not only slides across, but it goes down. And that's the difference between a cutter. A cutter is designed from a right-hand pitcher to a left-hand hitter, designed to stay up, because more left-hand hitters love the ball down and in. You don't want depth unless you're going to throw it in the dirt or break it way inside. But when you cut it across, he has a hard time, if it's hand high or any higher than that, getting the head of the bat out. And so it's one of the things that I used very early in my career, because my fastball tailed back over the plate. And I couldn't get a fastball into a left-hander consistently, so I was taught the cutter, and it worked out pretty well.
Ball and 2 strikes on Navarro in his first at bat. Alex Avila out with a strained hamstring.
Now, Torreyes will actually stay in the shortstop position. Headley will move to the right side of the infield as Castro goes back on the grass.
Two and two on Navarro. And time called. Sox with a couple of hits in the sixth, couple of hits in the second, and one in the first. All singles other than the Avila double in that second inning. Under Teixeira, Castro is there for out number 2. Why don't you show us how you throw a cutter? What's the difference between that and a regular fastball?
Well, a cutter really is an off-center fastball, and everybody's going to throw it a different way. I like to hold by off-center. I mean, I want more of the ball on this side than on this side. And you throw it just like a fastball without putting any side spin to it. A slider is probably held, and it depends, personal preference. You want to throw it off the index finger or the middle finger, personal preference. And you get a little tilt on it. You bring it down, you don't want to slide it across, you want to make sure that it goes down. That's a terrific pitch for a wipeout slider to a left-hand hitter from a right-hand pitcher. Also, very good pitch from a right-hand pitcher to a right-hand hitter, because not only will it slide across, which you don't want it to do righty to righty, you'd like to get some depth, because then when he turns the head of the bat over, you get that ground ball to the left side if he tries to pull it. If he doesn't, then you get a ground ball to the right side. Either way, it's going to stay on the ground if you throw it right. So the difference is an off-center fastball when you're throwing a cutter, and a little bit more off-center, but delivered more with a stiff wrist than a regular fastball delivery. And that's, again, personal preference. Everybody throws them differently. But if you don't mind my fingers over Gene Honda, then that was good, because this was a Gene Honda autographed ball that we had on the prize sale for, I think, last year we started with this?
Yeah, it was roughly last April.
Yeah. So that's that.
1-2 on Garcia. I can't believe nobody's taken that yet.
Me neither.
As a kid, that's the prize I would have taken. I was a big Gene Honda fan. Still am.
He had a magnificent voice. Very versatile.
Tanaka is securely through 7 tonight, pitching a shutout for the Bronx Bombers on the road in Game 2 of the series. Here at U.S. Cellular Field with his Final Four shirt on. He's been the voice of the Final Four for a long time as well in basketball. One of the best of all time at the job that he does, if not the best. And by the way, I believe your cousin has tweeted in, Alex. Thanks, Alex. Alex Staub says, at Jason Benetti and at Steve Stone should get the nod for MLB All-Star broadcasters. If only it was official. Very nice of you, Alex. Thank you.
And thank you. That's why you have that graduation garb on, because of your supreme intelligence.
We'll call him Mortarboard Alex.
We got a new pitcher coming into ball game, and it is Michael Inoa. So Chris Beck had a couple of innings where he was teetering, but scoreless innings nonetheless. 4 hits given up, a walk, great throw by Adam Eaton, cutting down Mark Teixeira at the plate. And there you look at the numbers, on for the 6th time. 3-point ERA.
Inoa against Teixeira. Ball to strike. Sox trailing 6-0 thanks to 2 of the second, 2 of the third, 1 of the fourth, and 1 of the fifth for the Yankees tonight. This being Sox Social Night, I feel like there should be an audio tweet at some point before the night finishes up.
I've got to look up some of the inquiries.
Maybe that'll draw an audio tweet.
That young man is
rapt at attention.
Tweeting somebody.
3-1. Foul back. Three-time All-Star himself, Mark Teixeira. Count full to him. Castro and Headley to follow. Abreu backs up on it. Inoa is there to receive out number 1. Fans experience Levy Restaurant's fine dining and service while enjoying a breathtaking view of U.S. Cellular Field from the First Merit Bank Stadium Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders and open before, during, and after every home game. First Merit Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events, including weddings and corporate parties. For more information regarding the First Merit Bank Stadium Club, please call 312-674-1000. Operators are always standing by. Strike one to Castro, who has, this is the A1 above the fold news tonight, has made an out. Starlin Castro, 8 trips to the plate before this one. He's been on 7 times in this series. That after he was 2 for 13 in the first series in New York.
Was a guy who not too long ago had 200 hits in a season. He knows how to swing the bat. And if he swings at strikes, he'll still make good solid contact. So seeing the ball well, he did draw a walk in his first at bat.
Two balls and a strike on Castro. Sox trailing 6-0 tonight. Game 2 of the series. Check swing roller. There's the second out of this visitor's 8th.
I think this deserves an audio tweet.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
You only have 140 characters, by the way, in your audio tweet.
Okay. So Viv, at Viv and Len Viv, something along those lines. That's why I audio tweet. Wants to know if AJ's going to catch Friday night. And
why don't you call Brian Snitker?
Apparently she loves him and says hi to you.
Hi.
And although we usually get the lineups for every upcoming game, Atlanta has yet to deliver that to us, so we will find out. And Viv, you're going to be the first person to know if AJ will get the starting nod on Friday night.
But what do you think? What's your instinct on that?
Was that more than 140 characters?
Well, does the rambling preamble count?
No, of course not.
That would disqualify you from all audio tweets.
Rambling preamble indeed.
Did you ever see them in concert?
Yeah, they were very good. I remember them in the 80s.
They sound more like a singer-songwriter duo. Well, we'll tell you this much about A.J. Pierzynski. He's played in 53 games this year for the Atlanta Braves. They have played 84 games. So more than half the time he's played.
So odds are overwhelming, Viv, that you'll be 50% right if you come to the ballpark to see him.
One on, two out for Ref Snyder, who has singled and scored. He's also walked and hit into a 9-2 double play.
Third hit by Chase Headley. He's had a pretty good series. Was on 3 times in yesterday's ball game, including a 2-run homer and a couple of walks.
Go ahead and send him back to Rock Ridge. Ball gets away. Headley to second.
I remember that. Bob Rosenberg with his familiar call of wild pitch. Very distinctive to him. As this one gets away. You don't see many fastballs that wide, but Tanner Navarro had no chance for that one.
It's a big old jackpot, Stoney. It's a big old jackpot.
Yep, it is. I think they've drawn them already or are about to.
You got me a ticket last time. You didn't get me one this time?
No, I'm still waiting for some sort of remuneration. No, actually, this time, what with all going on, I have forgotten to make a major investment in Mega Millions.
All going on?
Oh, yeah.
A lot of stuff happening.
Oof,
Sox Social Night.
Unbelievable.
REO Speedwagon, The Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
1-1 to Ref Snyder. That ball and 2 strikes.
At 95 with a fastball, when you throw it low and away, you can have a lot of guys taking that.
Fair ball down the line for Rob Ref Snyder. Headley scores. Ref Snyder is digging for 2.5. He's done with a double.
This looked like a hanger inside as Michael tried to get this ball away. Couldn't do it. Right over the middle of the bag. And Bill Welke, who's had this call before tonight, makes it again.
All of his extra base hits, doubles for Ref Snyder. I've got an audio tweet for you, by the way.
Yes.
I want to ask you this question that Ann B. Davis's bowling ball asks.
Okay.
When's the last time you opened it up and tested your fastball? How far did you move the needle?
1983.
Really?
Yeah, the needle was pretty good in 83. Not so good now.
You haven't just reared back and thrown a ball since 83?
No, and one of my longtime partners, Rich Melman, in the restaurant business, decided with his cousin to do the first. And I'll get to this after this.
Whack to right center field. Hicks stops at second. It's an RBI double for the second straight hitter, and the Yankees have put up a snowman tonight. It's 8-0.
And Hicks was the last of the Yankees to record a base hit. Well, fantasy camps have become the rage, and every team has one. But the first one ever, was invented by Rich Melman and his cousin from Los Angeles. And he talked to me about it. And he asked me if I would manage, along with Charlie Grimm, a Hall of Famer from the Cubs, manage the businessmen that would come from Chicago to play in this fantasy weekend, to give everybody a feeling of what spring training was really like. And it was magnificent. We had a wonderful time. It was a lot of the '69 Cubs playing against a lot of guys from the Merchandise Mart and a number of other places in Chicago. But the first one ever done was 1983. It was in Scottsdale, Arizona. I pitched for the final time in my career, and am still good friends with the guy who caught me, Dennis Ferrazano, a lawyer in town, has his own firm and was a terrific catcher. And I remember warming up to him, then pitching in a ball game for 1 inning. And other than that, now maybe I could throw it 35 feet. That's about it.
How'd you throw in fantasy camp?
Very well.
Yeah?
Yeah, because my arm felt good after retiring in '82 with an elbow problem. I had a year to recover and actually threw it really well. But it was fun. I said, that's the swan song. Bid adieu to my pitching career, which was over anyway, but had a good time. That first fantasy camp was special.
Yep.
And we had coverage from all over the country there. And of course, thinking back, I'm sure Richard and his cousin might wonder about some sort of copyright for that, because now every team has one, and they've done really well, and it's great for the people to get a chance to go down there and see exactly what's going on. What does a major leaguer feel like in spring training when he comes down there? We had one guy who lasted one practice ground ball to third base before pulling a hamstring. He paid, at the time, $2,500 to look at one ground ball.
Well, there's always the fantasy camp disabled list, so you know what it's like to be an injured major leaguer. Sox Social Night at the Ball-Yard. From Purdue or thereabouts. In West Lafayette, they came to say hi to us. Chuck, who do you think should start the American League All-Star game? Oh, good. Thank you for telling us. You can share that at Broadcaster Fantasy Camp. Don't pull a hamstring, though. We'll talk to Chuck a little bit later after the game for Subaru Post Game Live. JB Shuck is up for the Sox, down 8-0.
Early in the game, I made a mistake with the Cub infield, all four of them. They're not under 26, all of them. Ben Zobrist is over 26, but it was the first time that all four from one team had started in the infield since the '63 Cardinals. Ben would love to be 26 or under. He does not.
2 strikes on Shuck. Still 2 strikes on JB Shuck. Sox Social Night here at the ballpark. If you'd like to join in, you can use the hashtag SoxSocial. Instagram, Twitter, whatever else you want to hashtag. You can just put a hashtag on your wall at home. Maybe a plate. Shuck goes down swinging. Boy, Tanaka's been brilliant tonight for the Yankees. Strikeout number 6.
Boy, this Twitter thing is probably going to catch on. Someone tweeted me a very young picture of Rich Gossage. I mean, very young, and current picture of Goose. Looks the same.
Anderson, a ground ball, and 2 out. If you care to search Twitter for that picture, you are very, very welcome to.
Friday night on CSN Plus, the Sox open a weekend interleague series with A.J. Pierzynski, Freddie Freeman, and the Atlanta Braves. Coverage begins at 6:30 with White Sox pregame live, presented by the Koalas family of dealerships on CSN Plus.
look forward to seeing Sox South come here. Tyler Flowers as well, a member of the Atlanta Braves. So regardless of who's behind the plate for Brian Snitker, he's going to be a former Sox player. Boy, 0-5 to 12 for AJ. Felt like he was in Minnesota for a long time even before he came here, but you total up the numbers and he was much more a White Sox player than anything else.
Traded to the Giants from Minnesota. Outstanding pitching performance by Masahiro Tanaka, one of his best of the year, if not the best.
Last time out, gave up 6 earned to Texas last Wednesday. And here's a guy who in Japan in 2013 was 24-0.
And earlier this year, back on May 5th, he went 8 innings against Baltimore, got a no decision, scoreless with 5 hits. So he was brilliant, but didn't win the ball game. They eventually, the Yankees, lost it 1-0 in 10 innings. But he walked 1, fanned 7. And he's at the 100 pitch mark. He has yet to complete a game this year. You wouldn't think he would complete this one, although he could.
Tapped foul by Adam Eaton. 4 times Tanaka's gone the distance in a 9-inning complete game. 3 of those have been on the road, just 1 at home. 3 in 2014, 1 last year. Tanaka bids on 3-2, and he'll have to do it again. Hey, look, the Yankees have a bullpen.
They do indeed, and it's the newest man called up, Chasen Shreve. Called up to fill a spot in the pen. This is reminiscent of when Tanaka first saw the Sox back on May 25th of 14. He pitched in this ballpark 6 2/3, 5 hits, 1 earned run.
Adam Eaton sneaks one through, and the Sox have a runner on with 2 out here in the 8th. And that is going to do it for Tanaka. Round of applause as Joe Girardi takes the ball from Tanaka, who's serenaded by the Yankee fans in attendance. Chasen Shreve comes on, and we'll rejoin you after this. The #1 live streaming sports service delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. It includes a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.tv for details, Steve.
This is the second time that Chasen Shreve has been with a big club this year, just recalled. On for the 20th time, 1-1, ERA up over 5. He last appeared back on May 25th. Then he was placed on the disabled list for the left shoulder joint sprain. Worked it out in AAA, and now he's back.
He went to the College of Southern Nevada, where his catcher was Bryce Harper.
Both from Las Vegas. A lot of talent has come out of Las Vegas. Probably the last 30 years. Greg Maddux, also out of Las Vegas, as surprisingly was his brother Mike.
So were Chasen Shreve and his older brother Colby, who was drafted in the 8th round in 2007 by the Atlanta Braves. The old package deal. Bryce Harper's brother drafted by the Nationals as well. And Chasen Shreve gets Abreu swinging. This baby's a lifer. Hashtag Sox Social. 8-0 your score. But there are days like this. Yankees lead 8-0 in the top of the 9th, and the top of the card on the way. Brett Gardner to lead it off for the Yankees. Then Ronald Torreyes and Alex Rodriguez, and Gardner is once again on and gunning it for 2. It's a leadoff double, the 4th hit for Brett Gardner. All right, we've got a new game for you. We're going to play every once in a while. Seems like the perfect time for it. It's 8-0. We call it 6 Degrees of Luke Appling. Luke is the game's played leader all time for the White Sox, so he's played with a lot of people. Well, we're going to get from Luke Appling to somebody in our series. Luke played with Billy Pierce in 1950 with the Sox, who played with the Sox in 61 with Louis Aparicio, who played with the Red Sox in 73 with Dwight Evans, who played with the Orioles in 91 with David Segui, who played with the Mariners in 1999 with Alex Rodriguez, the all-time games played leader, all the way down to A-Rod. Isn't it interesting how baseball generations overlap?
It is that, and it definitively proves that you have way too much time on your hands.
Now for the bottom of the ninth, we will have a live reading from the Big Hertz Grill Book. Big chopper. An alpine chopper. And Abreu stops him in his tracks.
Well, it was, unfortunately, is a play that Michael Ynoa could have made, but he didn't choose to catch it. And the question is, as we look at it here, he lets it go, and Abreu, well, what they're saying is that
Ynoa interfered.
Exactly right.
Robin Ventura is out to argue.
He's saying he ran out of the baseline to actually get him. It goes as E1. They charge interference on Ynoa. He probably should have caught the ball and then gone to the bag, but right there,
He had a clear line to the base if he just ran in the baseline, is the argument from Robin Ventura.
yeah, but Torreyes did the right thing because he was going to be out dead to rights, and if a fielder is close enough to you, you grab him and see what the umpire decides. So Robin now is going to check with Marvin Hudson behind the plate, who's going to check with DJ Rayburn, who's already talked to Vic Carapazza, and eventually Bill Welke, the crew chief, will come in.
And then Luke Appling.
6 degrees. Yep.
The umpires will talk it over. It's either one out or first and second, nobody out.
No, actually first and third.
Or first and third, pardon me. Gardner made it 2-3.
Now they're going to explain to Robin. This one is not going to determine the outcome of this game. However, Robin arguing for a situation, if it arises, where the pitcher goes over, elects not to catch a pop-up that he could have, defers to the first baseman only to get grabbed close to the baseline again.
Saw a glimpse at a former manager over there at first base, Tony Pena, coaching first for the New York Yankees, former Royals manager and manager of the year.
And a good catcher with a phenomenal attitude, a love of the game like we see so many times. The call's going to stand. Robin's going to lose this one. And we will move on with the rest of the inning. It is charged E1 with the error going to Ynoa.
So Gardner along to third. Torreyes on at first. And Alex Rodriguez is the batter. To take strike one. Four hits today for Gardner. He's third, and Alex Rodriguez doesn't get cheated on that swing. 0-2. A-Rod with a double in the first inning tonight. His first double since June the 9th. 1-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes on A-Rod with Torreyes at first and Gardner at third.
Dan Jennings is stoic in the bullpen.
Still 2-2 on Rodriguez. Teixeira and Castro to follow as the Yankees have busted out in a big way tonight. Grounded foul. Alex Rodriguez continues the at bat. Game 3 of this series, which looks like it's going to be a rubber match. Tomorrow night, Michael Pineda, Miguel Gonzalez, 7:10 start time. Then an off day Thursday, and the Braves are in for 3 Friday through Sunday.
Miguel Gonzalez last time out at Houston was brilliant in the opener of that series, only to lose the ball game, but he threw it as well as he can throw it.
2-2. What did you like from that start for Miguel Gonzalez?
He was throwing everything exactly where he wanted to throw it. Changing speeds very well. His changeup was outstanding. I mean, that was a red-hot team coming in. They're also a team with a lot of speed, so if you made some mistakes to the guys that like to steal a lot of bags, you're going to have some problems in that. But he didn't have too many problems.
A-Rod goes down. Inoa with the strikeout.
Threw a high fastball by him, and Robin now coming out.
Looks like Dan Jennings is on the way.
We saw Dan Jennings yesterday in the ball game. He pitched the 9th inning. Michael Inoa will depart. Jennings will come in. We'll step out and be back after these messages. Our Midas called to the pen is Dan Jennings, who picked up an inning in yesterday afternoon's game, and he's going to get an appearance here tonight. On for the 30th time. 3-1, 180 ERA.
Love his Twitter handle, by the way. At Lieutenant Dan Jennings. Gary Sinise, line 1.
Gave up a couple of hits in the 9th inning yesterday, but a couple of strikeouts and got out without giving up any runs.
A strike called from Jennings to Teixeira.
we talked about Seattle pitching and will they be healthy. Taijuan Walker, who was injured a little earlier in the season, has a foot injury flare up and he leaves the ball game in Houston for Seattle. So with their top two suffering for some injuries, it's not going to be easy for Seattle.
Mariners lost 5-2. In the air, left center. Here comes Melky, hard charging. Gardner tags and scores. The 9th on the board. By the way, quick quiz for you, okay? The final vote is up for Major League Baseball, where the fans get to pick the final player into the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Right? American League, here are your 5 choices. Pick one, first blush. Ian Kinsler, Evan Longoria, Dustin Pedroia, Michael Saunders, George Springer. Kinsler, Longoria, Pedroia, Saunders, Springer.
I like George Springer, but I would take Ian Kinsler.
You would?
Yep, for what he means to that ball club at the top. Pretty stout numbers. You can't really make a mistake with anybody you pick there.
All right, National League. Brandon Belt, Ryan Braun, Jake Lamb of the Diamondbacks, Starling Marte, Trevor Story.
Trevor Story was the big story early in the season. I'll take Jake Lamb.
Really?
Yeah, only because, and I know maybe the numbers aren't quite as good as some other folks. I think somewhat of a surprise. Having a pretty good year. So he would be my guy.
19 homers.
Yeah. So, good young player. And give him a look at the All-Star team. Now, you know, many times the big market guys will make a concerted effort to get their guys in. Arizona, you know, who knows? Maybe not quite as many fans as some of the other guys that he'll be competing against.
Have to rock the vote.
Yeah, but again, yes. Again, you can't really miss whoever you pick. These guys all having pretty solid seasons, or they wouldn't be one of the final 5 for the last spot on the All-Star game. But having been to only one of them, it's really a thrill. And if you get there early in your career, I think it's a whole lot better. So most of these guys would dearly love to get that spot. I think maybe it means a bit more to the younger guys who haven't been there, or maybe been there one time. So those are the picks. Although Kinsler not exactly a younger guy, and he has some experience in that department.
But I mean, just the way he's transformed not only the lineup, but himself over the years. He's now a leadoff hitter and handling that extremely well. Dan Jennings takes care of Castro. Yankees do pick up one more after the error and the interference of the base runner. 9-0, middle 9. Hashtag Sox Social. Great boys from Jen Barnes 75. And thanks to everybody tonight who used the hashtag Sox Social. A lot of great questions, a lot of great pictures, a lot of great family time from home and from the ball yard. And we're grateful for you joining us and making us a part of your night. We're glad to be a part of your evening as well. Here from U.S. Cellular Field, Steve Stone, Jason Benetti, our entire crew. And by the way, Dave Ross, who's our graphics guy, who's just amazing at what he does, has been the one pulling all of your tweets and your Instagrams and everything and popping them up on the screen. So great work by Dave tonight and every night with our entire crew here at U.S. Cellular Field.
It wasn't easy tonight. A lot of things going on in a lot of different areas, and unfortunately it hasn't been a real good area. 60 feet 6 inches away from that pitcher for Sox hitters. Carlos Sanchez getting an at-bat.
You know, the one disappointment from his comeback from Charlotte is that we haven't seen him and Adam Eaton do the rock the baby routine in the dugout. Ground ball to third. Headley for out number 1. Tyler Saladino will bat for Todd Frazier, who finishes the night. 0 for 3. This is fun tonight, Sox Social. Glad to hear from everybody.
It was good. A lot of people participated in this one, had a good time with it.
Tyler's got his name backward on his Twitter handle. Should be a comma in between. At Saladino Tyler if you'd like to follow him. Commas don't work very well on Twitter.
You don't.
In between your name.
Yeah, I'll remember that. Put that in the big book of Twitter rules.
Where do you keep that?
I carry around with me assiduously.
Two balls, no strikes on Saladino.
Jason Coates is in the on-deck circle, so he'll get an at-bat.
There he is. Mr. Coates, who yesterday put up his second major league hit in the 3rd inning and came around to score on the home run thereafter from Tim Anderson. 2-2 for Saladino, pinch hitting for Frazier. Sox trailed 2-0 in the 2nd inning tonight. RBI single, Carlos Beltran, then an error made it 2-0. 4-0 after the 3rd. Chase Headley a 2-run home run, and the Yankees jumped on Carlos Rodon today. Pop up right side, Ref Snyder hightails it in for out number 2. What do you think? Do it again tomorrow night, 7:10?
I think I'd like to do that. And there's a whole lot of people wondering why the rough times for Carlos Rodon. I mean, why is this happening to him? Tremendously talented guy. Because he's a very young pitcher, and he'll have much better times. I remember a first full season for a couple of guys that went to the Hall of Fame. One named Greg Maddux, who was 6-14. One named Tom Glavine, who was 7-14 in their first full season in the major leagues. So, although there's a lot of guys that think that, well, it should happen immediately, because look at what happened with Chris Sale when he became a starting pitcher in his first full year. Well, there's just a couple of those guys.
Throw to first is in time, and that'll do it. The Yankees win by the count of 9-0. So Rodon, with this loss, still just his 3rd outing in his last 9, allowing more than 2 earned runs. This one was a big one for the Yankees offensively.
And the Yankees did just about everything right. It was all Yankees tonight. So Rodon will move to 2-7. Tanaka will move to 6-2. And the Yankees have tied the series. So with the final game of the series and the Sox with an opportunity still to win their 5th series in a row coming up tomorrow night, I will see you then.
See you then. Sounds great. Final score goes the Yankees' way, 9-0 here at U.S. Cellular Field. For our director, Jim Angio, producer Mike Leary, associate producer Dave Ross, tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer, Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti, saying so long from U.S. Cellular Field. Coming up next, Subaru post-game live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Good night.